friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we are wrapping up the month of April, or also well known as the month of the magical readathon. That's why I have my Harry Potter books right here. As I go along and wrap up all the books I've read, I'm going to tell you which exam I've passed or not. Who knows? Am I a completionist? So first off, as usual, I'm gonna start with some stats. I've read 11 books this month, which means I've read around 3,700 pages, which is my lowest month so far. Even though I was at home the whole month, it was hard to get my head into something else than what is currently going on with the world, so it means that I've read less pages. But I think also it's because I didn't read one of the Stormlight archive Petticoats books as I did in February and March, so yeah. And in terms of genre, it's quite weird because I've read, of course, some fantasy, but a lot less than usual, and I've read way more contemporary and a bit of romance, what I would call romance, which is weird for me. And in terms of ratings, it's a super good month for me. Like, I have 3, 4, and 5 stars, and that's it. My average is 4 stars, so that's a great month. But it is because I've also DNF, I think, 4 books this month. So let's start with that. I never was a person who would DNF a lot of books because I'm a completionist and I want to see things through. But recently, because I've been reading so much, I need to DNF things that are not suited to my taste and that I don't want to spend so much time on. It doesn't mean that it's a forever DNF, but it just means it's a temporary. I will not finish this for now and pick it up later. That's what I tell myself to make myself feel better. So I'm gonna go through them quickly because I want to do a separate video on all that. Let me know if you'd like that or not. But yeah, my first DNF was Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. I really do not grasp her reading style. It's very hard for me. I went like 50 pages into this and it's 800, more than 870 pages long book. And I don't want to tell you too much about it, but basically it was the writing style. Plus I was under stress because I wanted to read these as one of my OWL, and it was already after mid-April, and I was kind of like, oh, what happened if I do not finish this? It means I'm gonna fail one of my exams, and I just picked up something that was much quicker and I enjoyed more at the time. But definitely, this is still on my TBR. I still want to read this, so yeah, DNF. Another DNF is one of my TBR cards chose that book. It was Trench the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, and it's the same thing. I was just not into it at the time. I really wanted to read something else. I was not really into that book at that time, so I'm just DNFing, but I'm gonna read it later. Then his Dark Materials. I finally took the decision to DNF that series. I started reading it in December. I've read the first book, The Golden Compass, in December, and I enjoyed it. It was fine, but I'm not the targeted audience at all, and I have no nostalgia, no attachment to those characters in the first place, and I just keep on pushing it back, like, oh, I'm gonna read it in February, and then February will come along and I was like, no, I'm gonna read it in March, and I just didn't feel any pleasure to pick that up, so I decided to not care about it anymore. I don't have to finish this in a timely manner. I'm just gonna see if someday in my head I'm like, oh, I want to read this again, and then pick up the next book. So, and my last DNF is linked to the prompt of the OWL for History of Magic, which was read a book about witches and wizards, and I wanted to read a non-fiction book, and I've chose The Occult. Like, I will put the book here. I chose that book that was available on Scribd as an audiobook and an ebook. This book was pretty much telling us of all the people that were supposed to be, or out loud saying that they were wizard, like during ancient history, during Roman time and Greek time, and even going back further than that. And I think it would have gone to the present. But it was super short. It was less than a page long for every single person, and I really didn't feel like that's what I wanted out of that type of read. I wanted to go into depth, even though it would have been like just 4 or 5 people that were believed to be wizards, and we will have gone to depth into their lives and what they were supposed to have done, like miracles, or how it was treated in the society at the time. I would have liked that, and that format didn't appeal to me, so I just stopped reading it, and I don't think I will pick that up again. I found something better, and I'm gonna talk to you about it right now. So for the book that I have actually read and finished and rated, I'm gonna go as usual from my lowest rated to my highest rated. And first of all is The Lady's Guide to Piracy in Petticoats by Mackenzi. This is the second book in the Montague siblings series. I know there is a third one coming up this year. And it's the historical romance with a lot of queer representation, and this time we follow the sister of the main character of the first book, and it's her going through Europe. I don't even really remember what was she after. Like, she wanted to be a doctor and she was not taken seriously because she's a woman, and then she partnered with other badass women and then go on this adventure that take them to Germany, Switzerland, and in the Mediterranean Sea, up on, I think it was Morocco or Algeria they were going to. So yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I like what it did. It's very lighthearted. It's not meant to be like a hard-hitting thing at all. It's very lighthearted, and it's not, I don't think it's meant to be historically accurate, but it was very nice. Next up is Solitaire by Alice Oseman. I really like Alice Oseman's writing style. I've read Radio Silence by her, and then I discovered the Heartstopper series and a graphic novel. And when I found out that she actually started by writing a story about the sister of the main character of that graphic novel in Solitaire, I really wanted to read it. I usually don't really like contemporary or very light-hearted contemporary. It doesn't really do anything for me usually, especially like coming of age story. I'm like a bit old for that, I think, or my taste, for my own taste, it's not what I like to read. But for some reason, I just love her writing style and her stories, and I'm just like, I find it super cute. So I've read Solitaire. I only gave it a 3-star because it wasn't like revolutionary, but I really enjoyed the characters and what it tried to do. I really think now that she can do better. This was our first book back like 5 or 6 years ago, even more I think. But yeah, this was a first novel, so it lacked like some deepness. It lacked some plot point where like rush through, I kind of felt like, but I'm sure she can do way better like she did in Radio Silence. That was a 5-star for me, but I was still glad to have read this story. Let's continue with Blood of Elves by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is the first book in the Witcher series. I don't know how to rate this at all. If you're not acquainted with the Witcher series, the first 2 books are short stories about some of the main characters that you would find in the main series, and this main series is like 4 books, I think. I'm not sure, or 4 or 5, maybe 5. And so this is the first book that is actually not a short story, but part of a series, continuing series with the same kind of plot. And I thought this time around we would get like the plot developing in front of our eyes. But it was not really like that. We did a lot of jumping around with timelines, and we were following this character, and then something really interesting happened, and we're with another character, and then we're getting to that story, and we get to it. It was jumping around everywhere. I was very happy with every single places I went, every single character that I follow. I was very happy to see them, very happy to see their character developing and everything. I still do not get where the plot is going though. Like, I still just feel like it's short stories of this happened and this happened. There is like kind of a main thing going on, but I'm not even sure. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed by that, but I'm still very in love with the world building and the character. We get a lot more politics about that world specifically, and what's going on with the different kingdoms and stuff like this. So that was quite interesting to me. I was watching Elliot Brooks reading vlog she did about this, and it was quite interesting to see what other people were thinking as well. But for me, I like that, and I'm still going to continue with this series, but I don't feel any rush to, because I don't feel like it, and I don't even remember if it ended on a cliffhanger or not, to tell you the truth. So yeah, let's continue with Agatha Christie. I'm in a big mystery mood right now. I don't know if it's spring or whatever, but I've read The Murder of Robert Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. It's a Hercule Poirot story without Hastings, so you get another character to help him around, like, so he can words his thoughts to someone, and I really enjoyed the twist of it. That's why I gave it such a high ratings. Otherwise, it was just the same kind of things where we're in an English mansion manor, whatever. There is staff, there is important people, there is a murder, and we're trying to understand who's going to profit of that murder and who did it and blah blah blah. I enjoyed the end of it. I really enjoyed the end of it. I enjoyed as well that it was, I think it was first person speaking, so that was kind of fun. And I just realized that I forgot to tell you all about my owl till now. So The Ladies' Guide of Piracy and Petticoats was for my Defensive Arts exam. Solitaire by Alice Osman was my Muggle study exam. Blood of Elves was my Transfiguration exam, and The Murder of Robert Ackroyd was my Herbology exam. So all this is done. It's great. Let's move on. My next read was my non-fiction. You know, I like to start with the non-fiction at the beginning of the month. And after trying the occult book, I finally found Waking the Witch by Pam Grossman, if I remember right. And this is what I wanted out of that type of read. We follow, not follow anyone because it's a non-fiction, but it's a first person kind of book where the narrator talks about her coming of age and identifying herself as a witch, and what does it mean, and what is being a witch means in today's society, in 50 years ago society, how is it portrayed in different type of media, and how do people talk about it, and join a coven. I learned that word, and I'm super happy with it, and it was very, very enjoyable to learn all that, and to learn about witch and wizard in our own world, and why do people feel the need to identify themselves as such, why it is important to them, and how does it change their life day to day. And it felt super nice, and I really enjoyed it. The only thing is that I would have liked a bit more of background history, like maybe more ancient history, maybe somewhere around Roman or Greek era. Where does the witch come from, and how was it portrayed in every single society till now? But it focused a lot more about like 100 years ago, the end of the 19th century till now, and it was nice too, but you know, I'll find another read for that. And that was for my History of Magic exam. And then we have The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and it was super short but super deep read. I think everybody knows about The Great Gatsby. There's been movies, it's been studied in a lot of classes. I know I studied it in my English class. This is a 1920 story. It was a lot darker than I thought. Not darker. It made me think way more than I thought it would, and it was very deep. There were some quotes in there that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the ending, and I would love to have discussion about this. I was reading this, and at the same time, at the end of every chapter, I was listening to a book I found on my Libby app that was studying every chapter. So they will tell you a little summary, and then they will tell you like what to look for and how the characters develop and what it meant at that time. So that was super interesting to have the two alongside each other. And yeah, that's a story that I would definitely read and reread, and I really enjoyed. And that means I've passed my potion exam. Next up, I read Les 10 enfants que Madame Ming n'a jamais eu, The 10 Children That Mrs. Ming Never Had by Eric-Emmanuel Schmitt. You can find this book in English. I believe this one has been translated. I've talked about this in one of my vlogs that I was doing, so I would link it up there because will have way more thoughts in there. Basically, that is a short story that will take you to China in today's days and age, and will tell you a little bit about Confucianism. Ooh, that's a tongue twister. And I really loved it. It's super short, so it's not for you to get attached to any character or anything. It's just to make you think about other religion and what that stands for and what are the pillar beliefs and stuff like this. I really enjoyed this read. And of course, like every single month, Sanderson is here. This month I've read Edgedancer by Sanderson. It's short stories that is part of the Stormlight archive series. We follow, what's her name? Lift, as she goes through a new city, and you kind of see her own power develops. You see also some background action of what's gonna happen, I think, in Oathbringer. You can see also some link with Warbreaker in there, so if you want to read that, read Warbreaker before or after, but like the connection is so nice that I think, no, maybe read Warbreaker first and Edgedancer after. That is my own recommendation. You do whatever you want. But I enjoyed this story. It was light, it was quick, and I did get lost in some bits because I think maybe I don't have the full picture because I haven't read every book. Well, they're not out yet, but I haven't finished that series yet, so maybe once the series is finished I will see even more foreshadowing or stuff like this in there. But it was super interesting to see more of the magical system that we haven't seen so far at all, that part of the magical system. So, and Lift, I know this character can be jarring for some people, but I really enjoyed her. She made me laugh out loud while reading this. Now let's get into my faves of the months. First off, The Murder on or of the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. Who is she? Is she a booktuber? I don't know. This was loads of fun. I really didn't see it coming, and I'm obsessed. This is why I'm reading Agatha Christie, because of some twists like this and some very heartwarming stories like this. So yeah, I hope I'm not saying too much. So The Murder on the Orient Express, if you don't know about it, we follow Poirot. Is Hastings here? I don't think Hastings is there. As he is in the train that goes from Russia or the Orient into Europe. I think they're supposed to stop in Paris, and there's a murder that happened on the trains, and he is unraveling what happened. There is a big cast of characters. There was a movie made in 2017, and that is super good. I've just watched, and super good. They did a bit more of action scenes because Poirot stories tend to be a bit plan-plan. It's more thinking than action, but yeah. Really enjoyed this story. Really, that's this month so far. I've read 3 more Agatha Christie stories because I'm trying to get on that rush again of like, oh, this is such good mystery. And coming around one more time, it's Sanderson. This is Warbreaker. I finally bought my own edition and I'm so happy with it. I'm so happy that I get to have this physical book with me to read and reread whenever I want. Warbreaker, that was my first Sanderson when I started reading again last year, and I just fell in love with the character, of course, the writing style, and it started my thirst for more and more and more Sanderson. I reread this before reading Edgedancer because a lot of people were saying there is some connection you need to know, and I wanted to have it fresh in my memory before doing this. So this was a treat. It was just a treat for me to reread this. Warbreaker for now is a standalone. Brent Sanderson is supposed to make a series out of it whenever he gets to it. It's not a priority right now. We follow 3 characters in this. 2 are sisters. One was promised to be married to a god king, and her dad loves her too much to send her away, so he decided to send her sister, that apparently he loved less, to the god king, even though she was not trained for it. So it's the dual perspective of those 2 sisters that are living lives that they were not supposed to live, and we follow a god. A god. Like, how often do you get to read about a god? This was so much fun. The god is questioning his own deity, like, why am I a god? Why are people revering me? And I don't think people should follow me everywhere or believe in everything I say. And it's so much fun to read. And the magical system in there, it's super cool. Where did that accent come from? Super cool. It revolves around colors, and a special thing that every single one of us has, it's called a biochromatic breath. It's like, we can compare this to the soul, or that sense we have that when someone is standing behind you, you can feel it even though you cannot see it or hear it. That it's like someone is near you. So that type of energy. Anyway, it's super cool in the way it acts. It's amazing, and I love this book. So I was so happy to have reread this. This really lifted me up when I needed it. And the last book I'll be mentioning is a French book. It has not been translated yet, and it's a first novel, so I don't think it will be translated anytime soon. But if you read French, or if you are French or French speaking, I recommend you with all my heart to read Tout, bleu, ciel by Mélissa Costa. Yes, I remember it. This story had me crying all the time, and from joy, from sadness, because it was so beautiful and gut-wrenching. And my mom told me to read this, and it was like, yeah, I'm gonna give it a try. And now I bought 2 copies just to give out to friends, because this book is amazing. It's a bit long, but I think it deserved every single sentence, every single word that was in there. I think it's around 600 pages. So basically we follow a young man. He's 26. He has just been diagnosed with a rare case of early Alzheimer, and he has been given 2 years to live, and he's going to forget little bit by little bit his life. He's gonna start forgetting the day-to-day things, and then he's gonna start forgetting his own memories until he starts forgetting to breathe, or his heart forgets how to pump, and he's gonna die. And so the premise is not so fun, but he decides that he doesn't want his family to see him like this, to see him perish in front of them. And he just he always wanted to travel and never got a chance to, and it feels like a wake-up call for him. So he puts a little ad online saying, hey, I have early Alzheimer, I have 2 years to live, I just bought a camping car and I'm gonna go traveling. Is someone would like to come with me for my last trip? And there's a girl who answers, and they agree to meet up on some motorway rest stop area, and they just go together. They go travel in the Pyrenees in France, which is the border with Spain. It's a chain of mountains which are beautiful, and it's just the story of them traveling and learning about each other and learning about themselves above all. And it's so beautiful. It's just, it got my heart, and I was trying to predict where that story was going, because at first it was like there were some stuff, especially relationship and sexual stuff, that happened that the guy did a bit before the book, and I was like, this is not okay, like this is not, should not be spoken like that, and everything. And this could be attributed to this girl first book, but everything else that was done so well that This book is amazing. If you're a French reader, please give it a try and let me know what you think. I'm super happy with my month. I have passed my OWL exam. I'm on my way to become a Minister of Magic employee into the international community, blah blah blah. We'll pick this back up in August with the second magical readathon of the year. I cannot wait for this. I hope it is as good as this one was. And tell me, how was your month? Have you read any of those? Do you want to read any of those? Like, let me know just your bookish thoughts. That's why I'm here. I'm here to hear your bookish thoughts. And I will see you in another video very soon, guys. Take care of yourself. Bye!